cmpradio.net, the voice of Chester.
Everybody, my name is Donna, also known as Donna Janelle, CEO and founder of Parenting with a Purpose. Our strive here at the podcast is to reach every home, whether it's single moms, married, single dads, whatever it is, foster parents, whatever, just bringing the ownership and responsibility and nobility back into parenting. Get comfortable with uncomfortable conversations. All parents need some help and guidance, and I'm just here to be a guide. Hey everybody, welcome to Parenting with a Purpose. I am your host, Donna Janelle. You know we are here weekly, Thursday at 7 p.m. We are here striving and aiming to bring back the beauty, nobility, and responsibility back into parenting. Again, I am your host, Donna Janelle, the one and only. There's only one like me, so thank you for joining tonight. As you know, we are back to school. For most schools here in the tri-state area, school started a week before Labor Day or a week after Labor Day. However it may be, school is still starting. And I thought it was such an important topic for us to discuss education. So September is the month I'm deeming here at the station on the show for education. So we're gonna have educators, we're gonna have principals, we're gonna have parents, whoever is in our children's life. I think it's important. As you know, parenting and teachers really have to become partners, right? I think that that's such a necessity of partnership, right? Because when you think about it, our kids are in school 8 hours a day, sometimes a little bit more, give or take, right? Well, 8 alert hours. I said it earlier that our kids are alert, they're oriented, they're all ready to function during those 8 hours. So most of the time when we have our kids, we're waking them up in the morning, getting ready for the 8 hours, right? So we get a little chit chat with them, not much, you know, as we're trying to get ready for work, as they're trying to get ready for school. Then we drop them off at their designated place. They're there for 8 hours. We pick them up, right? If they got extracurricular activities, we're running them to that. We get a little bit of small chit chat, how was your day? Really not too deep into it. Or where if your children don't do extracurricular activity, you're going home, you're cooking dinner, you're making sure the family's set, right? And then guess what? You get a little bit of downtime, maybe about 15 to 30 minutes before it's time to get them up, go to bed, right? So you're preparing them for bed, preparing for the next day. So we don't really have a lot of active time with our children, a lot of alert time with our children. The school does, right? So that's when they're sponges. That's when they receive the most, is during those 8 hours, right? So our job as parents when they get home is kind of reiterate what they're doing or just talking about their day, let them express themselves. Well, because of that, it is so important for parents and teachers to be partners, right? A lot of times when we think about our kids or acting out in school or just not being able to socialize properly at school, a lot of times it's because us as parents, we're either not able to do something or not understanding something. It's almost like we're not able to cope sometimes. So then, you know, we're tired, we're cooking, we're cleaning, we're doing all this stuff, and sometimes we don't really get the necessary time to our children to be able to see what their day is like. So that's what we're talking about today. That's what we're talking about in the month of September. I have my guest here. It is Kya Gould, Cordelia, aka Kya Gould, is in the house. Kya has been in education for 13 years. 13 years with our children, y'all. 13 years, okay? I know it's a hard knock life, all right? So Kya has been doing preschool for 11 years, and now she's been in the elementary sector for 2 years. She is currently a teacher for 4th grade. So I brought Kya on tonight because she has first contact with our kids, she has contact with our parents, and I just wanted some insight and see what we as parents can do better and how we can partnership better with the teachers so our children can have a successful school year. Hey, Kya.
Hey.
Welcome.
Thank you.
I know you don't be like, hey, with your kids at school. You be like, hey. You so tall like that. Kya. I know you're not. Hey. Hey, Kya.
Hello. Good evening.
Welcome to the show, Kya. I am
for
so
having me.
happy and so ecstatic for this topic because for so long, you know, it's been like almost a disconnect with parents, teachers, educators, and teachers. And, you know, we know that parents are they're our children's first teachers, but we also know that we release them to someone else to do more teaching. So I have you here tonight so we can dig into that a little bit. I have a feeling it might be a part 2 with you, just so you know. But so you as a teacher, or tell me a little bit about what do you think a partnership with parents should look like? Hey, that's where we'll start.
Communication is the very most important thing that we can do with our parents and teachers. It is just the end all be all. We have to talk. All the questions, whatever questions they have, whatever they're unsure about, if the child comes in and is complaining about something, talk to the teacher about it, ask questions. Don't assume, because sometimes the kids are complaining and they have a right to complain. You can complain about me because I'm on you. Right. My job is to teach you, and you know I love them. And everybody comes at different ages and stages, but I work on everyone. I want everyone's attention all throughout the day, and I'm doing things to try to keep their attention. Right. So if they're complaining that I'm on them, call me. I'm going to tell you why and just how I'm doing it. And it annoys them because as soon as they turn to talk to their friend, I'm like, excuse me, Mrs. Gould is talking. I have the floor, and if you're not listening to me, you don't know what I'm telling you to do, you don't know the instructions I'm giving, you're not going to know what to do. Then you're going to go home and you're going to say, I don't know what my work is. I don't know how to do this. And you're right, you don't, because you weren't paying attention. But they're only going to give part of the story. So if you have, as a parent, if you have a question, don't be afraid to ask. We have Dojo at our school, and they can send me messages on that. First thing in the morning, I come in, I look at it, and I begin to respond. I'm not going to do it late at night because I have a life, right? But I will respond during the day. All they have to do is talk to me. When I tell you communication is the key, it is very important.
I think sometimes, I don't know, do you get many parents that communicate with you?
I do. Okay. I have, this year I have 8 children that have IEPs in my classroom. Okay. Some of them are autistic, some of them have ADHD, and some of them just have behavioral problems or English as second language. But I have parents who are, please, if you have any trouble, contact me, just let me know. And I love that, because I'm communicating with them regardless of whether there's a good day or a bad day. Okay. Regardless, and when I need help. Well, the one parent, her daughter, her child has autism, and it's new for her. And I said, okay, Mom, I haven't dealt with someone who had autism that's 9 or 10 years old. I've dealt with a child who was 3. Right. I said, so we're going to learn this together. Well, I said to her, oh, you're going to have to help me. And she said, no, we're going to learn this together. And I was like, okay, I'm with that. But she's giving me grace, and I'm going to give her grace that we're going to learn this child's behaviors together, because she was just diagnosed recently. Right. That's scary. So that communication is going to be key for her success. Right. I think, I know when my kids were going to school now, I'm heavy on communication. School, outside of school, whoever it is, we're going to talk about this. Right? We're going to talk. And I just remember when my son, when my daughter, she's now 24, I was always communicating with the teacher, but there was never really no specific issue or anything that I was just always checking on her and things like that. But then when my son was born, my son Josh, he was born with special needs, so he went to a medical daycare first for pre-K. Like he went there, I think, up until age 4.5, because he had a feeding tube. So it was different because I'm a nurse, they were nurses there, so I was able to communicate with them there. So it was always on some medical issues, or Joshua won't sit down. He everywhere to the point where they had to put some weights on his back to slow him down. Yeah. So then once I put him into pre-K with a friend of mine at her school, I start to see how communication, not just on a medical level, but educational level, was a different. Because most of the time we were worried about his medical stuff. We wasn't really. He was smart as a whip, so we wasn't worrying about his education. Right. But then once my kids got, at that point, probably about 6 years old, my sister passed away, so I inherited her 2 girls. Right. And that's when I found out that communication was so important with teachers, and how much work they put into our kids.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, when I started teaching 4th grade last year, I started thinking, oh my goodness, I did not appreciate my children's teachers the way that I should have. I had no idea that as much went into the preparation of a day as it is. Like, floored. I was so surprised. I was like, I need to go back and apologize to every last, because I gave them gifts, but the gifts weren't nowhere near where they should have been.
Right.
I just appreciated them teaching my children, because I stayed on top of them as well. But if I had it to do all over again, there would have been better gifts.
Yeah. I didn't realize how much teachers actually do. I'm telling you, until the girls, and even my son at the time, because he was dealing with the grieving of my sister. I didn't know. But one of the things that I made sure that, because they were having so many issues, like I literally was emailing the teacher every time something like, listen, last night she didn't sleep that well.
Okay.
You know, or she had an outbreak last night, she was flipping out last night, you know, dealing with A, B, and C, or even if to the fact that Joshua had a very hard time tying his shoe, and he was really upset about that, or even the fact that because he had a scar for his feeding tube, so sometimes he would get teased. So so just certain things, whatever my kids told me that night, I would communicate with the teacher, say, hey, this is what's going on, because I think there's so many kids in the classroom. I don't, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's hard to like see exactly what's going on with each child, right?
It definitely is. And you know, the only person that gets in trouble is the person that retaliates.
Right.
The person that starts it, we don't see.
Yeah.
But it's when you respond, you hit back, or you respond louder than the other person said it to you, then that's the person that gets in trouble.
Why is that?
Because that's what we see.
That's all you see and hear is like, yo, you're the loud one.
The other one was under the table and you punch in the face. I see the punch in the face. I didn't see the kick under the table.
So maybe I'm teaching them to kick back under the table. It's like, nah, don't. No. But Kaya, talk about how important it is for, a lot of times what I'm seeing now with parents, and what they're at least explaining to me, is that a lot of the work that the children are getting is not the same type of work that we got when we were younger. Right? Like, you know, I know growing up, you know, 1 + 1 = 2. Well, why does that equal 2? And it's because it equals 2. Like when we were just doing simple math, it's because it was never explanation. Now everything is explanatory. Like you explain, and then you can do it in 5 or 6 different ways, right? So a lot of times parents aren't accustomed to that type of learning or teaching. So what can parents do to maybe, I can't even say brush up on it because it's all new. It's like, what can they do? Start reading their kids' papers? Like,
so what we've started doing this year at my school, we're doing a new math program, and it's a pilot program. So I'm sending information to the parents to let them know what's coming. This is what we're working on.
Okay.
And I'm hoping that's going to help them. YouTube is awesome.
Yeah, I call it YouTube University.
Yes, exactly.
Everything is on YouTube.
But other than that, asking me, like if they're able to come in after school, I can show them the way that I'm learning. I have a coach. Last year, when they asked us to teach the new multiplication, it took me 4 months to figure it out. And I told the kids, I said, I can only teach you how I know. And I told the coach, I said, I cannot get this. This isn't working for me. He said, I know, old school, I understand, but don't worry about it, you're going to get it. And he's right, I did. But I was in the room with him, and he told me, I said, oh, I got it. I went back into the classroom, I started putting it on board, and I was like, oh, I don't have it. I said, guys, everybody getting the A out of this quarter, because I don't remember what he said. I can't teach you something that I don't know. When we multiply, if it was 3 numbers here and 2 numbers here, we did this, that. And then we did the second number to the hundreds, the tens, the ones, the tens, the hundreds. That's not how they have them doing it. You do, if it's 348, you do that number that was down in the tens and the ones. You do 300. You did that number by 300, and if the next number was 54, then you do that number by 50. And then that number. I was like, ain't nobody what? I said, it takes them 20 minutes to do one problem. It took us 5 minutes. It took us less than 5 minutes because we know our multiplication.
Right. It's different. And math is totally different. I even see it in a younger group. Like, I mean, you're fourth grade.
They're teaching them, and earlier they want them to expand it. They want their minds expanded, and they want them to think about it broken up so you can do it mentally. They want all math to be done mentally, and I understand now. But when I first started, I was like, this makes no sense.
But I like the fact that you said you had a coach, though. It wasn't
absolutely.
like, you know, this is new math. I want you to teach these to the kids. And you was like, I have no idea what I'm doing. And to be coached.
No, I'm honest.
To be.
I was like, I can't teach them something I don't know.
Right.
But they did. They provided us with coaches, and all you had to do was fill out a form and let them know that you needed help. And I did. And he met with me as often as I needed until I was able to get it and teach it to them with confidence.
I wonder if they have a program like that for parents.
That would be awesome if they did.
I wonder. I got to look into that because that will be helpful because a lot of new stuff that the kids are knowing, like a lot of parents just really aren't able to grasp hold of. And so it's hard to reinforce it at home with your kids if you don't even know.
Right.
And then that's where frustration comes in, right?
Yes.
You know, you're saying that.
You can't tell them whether they're right or not, and if they just write any kind of number and you don't know what it is, and you're like, okay, good night.
Right.
And you're signing it, not even knowing that they didn't even try.
Yeah. You know that TikTok is around where it says, Johnny has 4 apples. You know, when a parent, did you ever see that when the parent is on there and it's like, Johnny has 4 apples, Johnny has 3 pears, Johnny has 2 peaches. So how many apples does Johnny have? And the boy just kept saying about the pears and the peaches. He talks about the apples, but he talked about the pear and peaches too. And the mom was getting frustrated. Now I said, how many apples does Johnny have? And he was like, well, we got to still talk about the peaches and the pears. She was like, and then she went upside his head and was like, but this is how frustrating parents get. It was like, listen, no, I'm talking about Johnny. How many apples? No, Johnny. Well, maybe Johnny has. Well, now Johnny has apples, peaches, and pears because he got everything for everybody. Now I want to know how many apples does Johnny have. Like, yo, I'm telling you, I'm gonna share it after this. It's going around everywhere because it's most parents. Like they get it because sometimes when you're doing homework with your kids, it's like, I don't know why you're not getting this if I'm telling you this, and then when they're telling us something, we're not getting it. So it's like a whole, it's like a little complicated out there.
2 different planes.
Two different planes, exactly. So I think it's important for parents to be in touch in exactly what our children are doing so that we be able to help them the best way we can.
Absolutely.
Because, again, there's so many kids in the classroom. I'm quite sure you guys take your time with the kids that need, like, the extra help if you can. Like, how does that work in the class? Because you said that you have, like, 8 kids that have IEPs, right? Mm-hmm. So IEPs is an individual educational plan.
Absolutely.
And how many kids do you have in the class total?
20.
So you have 20 kids in the class. So that's 12 kids.
That's for now.
That's 12 kids that don't have an IEP, but then you have 8 kids IEP. I remember back in the day, like, it wasn't called IEP back in the day, but it was called special ed, right? Mm-hmm. And those 8 kids would have been in classroom all by themselves. Mm-hmm. They would not have been included in the classroom. So most teachers would be able to take their time with those kids, and the kids were, quote unquote, not special needs or whatever, was able to get exactly what they needed. So how does that work in a class? Because that just seems so complex right there, where you have 12 kids who are on, I guess, the scale or standard or whatever. Then you have 8 kids who are more complex. How can that?
So it's 2 things. One, the children with IEPs get pulled out to meet with special education, whatever is occupational therapy, writing, speech, whatever it is. They get pulled out a couple times a week depending on what their needs are.
Okay.
And they're taught on that level. They come back in the classroom and they're hearing everything on a 4th grade level because that's what I'm teaching.
Right.
I have to have homework the Friday before it's due. The Friday before I give it out on Monday, I'm to give it to the special educational director, I guess she is. Whoever the head is, I give it to her for her to modify it for those 8 children.
Okay.
Then I do small group. So I have groups all over, and everybody that is on their own reading level or their math level, they're in different groups, and they know to do what they're required to do. Well, I'm still teaching because it's the beginning of the year. But then I take a small group, and I take different ones during this 40-minute stretch, and I meet with them on their level. get them where I need them to be, and then I move to another level. I move to another group.
Okay. Let me ask you a question about that. Do you think, how do I say this? So there was a time, again, kids were separated, right? And I think there was a study showed that those kids that were separated weren't able to really grow as much. And
Right.
that's why they became inclusive in education, right?
Right.
So do you think that's really beneficial to those who have IEPs? Or, no, I want to be honest. Because I think about this often, because I always be like, all right, in order for you to grow, you have to be around something that's above you, right?
Absolutely.
Something that you can say, I can strive to be, or if most of the kids are behaving a particular way, maybe I can kind of straighten up myself a little bit to behave that way.
Right.
But then on the flip side, if you're isolated with only those who
Then you
or
could tend to behave the
intellectually
same way.
or behave
Mhm.
the same way, how would you learn? You would think that that's acceptable. So
Exactly.
that's why I'm kind of, there's like a toss, like kind of like a thin line. It's like,
So I think it can be beneficial. It just needs to be more than one person in the room.
right,
The
okay.
struggle is that we have children on these different levels, and then it's only one teacher.
Right.
And even though we pull them into smaller groups, it's so much that they still don't understand, because I can't talk on a kindergarten level. If I have a first grader, I'm not going to talk on a first
Right.
grade level, because the ones that's on the third grade level in my fourth grade class, I need to speak to them as well.
Right.
So when I have English growth and I have math growth, but I don't have science growth. So when I teach science, it's on the fourth grade level.
Oh, wow.
And you just have to understand it, because there's no time for me to pull you aside.
Right.
And even my English second language, I just don't
Right.
I'm going to teach on that level, and this is what we're doing now. They often come and they're like, I don't understand this. And I'm like, okay. So, and then I try to explain it in another way for them
Right.
to understand. But there's no one else in the classroom with me to help me with those that have behavior issues
Right.
or otherwise. So that's
Yeah.
where the struggle is. And you have to have 10 IEPs in order to have a co-teacher.
Wait, flag on the play. You gotta have 10 in order to get, listen, I need help with one.
And in honesty, my roster had 9 IEPs, but one
Right.
of the children did not come back to the school, so I only have 8.
Wow. So that needs to change though. Because how, like you just broke it down and explained, like, because,
And I don't have special education as part of my degree. So I'm not
Yeah.
a special education teacher, I'm a general ed teacher.
right. So do you think it's just that we just don't have enough teachers or
That's a problem.
enough qualified teachers in that area?
That's 2 problems.
That's 2 problems. Okay. The third problem, is it do you think it's see, here's my issue with this.
Okay.
Because I see it in some schools, in other schools I don't see the help. So that's my issue here.
Okay.
Because I see it in some schools where sometimes you'll have a main teacher and you'll have 2 other teachers in the classroom. Depends on where you're located on the map.
What are the qualifications of the 2 teachers? Like, is it just a
Oh,
one-on-one?
special ed? Like, for example, one of my kids was, when I first got her, again, she had an IEP. Her goal was to read a sentence. That was the IEP, right? And that wasn't flying in the household I live in. So
Right.
kind of worked with her. But when she was included in the class, they had 3 teachers in the class. They had the main teacher, they had a para, and then they also had a special education teacher in there.
Nice.
But that was across the whole district. Like, it wasn't something just one class, right?
Gotcha.
But then I go into another area, right? Not that district, another district, and they don't have the same resources. So then I'm questioning, why not?
Why not? I can't answer that.
Because the struggle that you're talking now, I don't see it in certain districts. I don't. I see them hiring more teachers. Like, I see it advertised all the time. Hiring more teachers, special for medically complex or educational complex. They name all different type of names for it. But I see it. But then, to truth be told, when I'm looking at the inner city, they don't have that kind of help.
We hiring too. They're even giving bonuses if you come, and giving bonuses to the employees that bring the employees.
So, you think is nobody want to come? Mm-hmm. That's the issue? Mm-hmm. But why do you think
it's
that?
It's a special breed.
Oh.
Like, you really have to have
tough skin.
Tough skin to work in an urban area. You really do. Because the parents' mindset are different. You're trying to tell them about their child, and you're sharing with them, we need to do this, and the parent is like, I don't need to do nothing. There's nothing wrong with my child. You're like, but I didn't say there was nothing wrong. I'm just saying that we need to do this in order to help. There's nothing wrong with my child. And I'm like, what are you hearing?
Right.
We need to help. And we can't pretend like there's not a problem, because there is.
Right.
Ain't nothing wrong with my kid. Okay. What do you do with that?
Right.
And then you have those that want to fight.
Want to fight?
You want to fight.
Yeah.
Well, why do we need to fight? This is your kid. This is what we need to do.
Right.
Fighting is not going to resolve it.
Right.
Because we still need to teach your child. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't matter what school district you put them in, what school they go to, they still need to learn.
Right.
And they have to have the behavior to receive the education that someone's trying to give them.
Right.
But if you want to ignore it and pretend like your kid doesn't have ADHD or your child doesn't have autism, what do you do with that? You're pretending like that your child is normal. I believe in prayer as well, but I also believe that we have to do something to help them. If they need medication, please let's get them the medication.
Right.
If they need therapy, let's get them the therapy.
Mm-hmm.
We can't ignore it and pretend like it's not there, because it hurts the child.
You know, when I think about back in the day, before we have all these different diagnoses, right? These kids were deemed as bad kids.
Yeah.
They just, and you know.
And it's not bad.
And you know what they used to do to those bad kids? They would just whoop them. Think that they can whoop whatever's in them out of them, mm-hmm. right? And then now, you know, you can't do that to kids anymore, because you're going to go to jail.
Right.
Right? So now parents, instead of doing that, I feel like it's just because they don't know what to do or how to handle them. Or maybe, for example, like if we have a kid that don't like to sit still, instead of trying to figure out like why they can't sit still or what's going on, we kind of give them more things, like give them games, give them stuff to, like, give them some type of activity at home where they don't ever have to sit still, where instead of just teaching them how to sit still, mm-hmm. or getting them extra help to sit still. Mm-hmm. Like, for example, I know Joshua had this thing, this sensory, they had, at the time they had deemed it a sensory disorder, where he used to always rock his chair, right? He used to have some type of stimulation.
Okay.
Right? Some people would have thought it was probably like ADHD or something, like he can't calm down, but he needed that, like, that force. Like, he would hit himself on the wall, he would, in a chair. So what they did was put tennis balls on the bottom of his chair, because he needed that constant stimulation, okay. right? And he would do his work then, because he was able to move around and stuff, do his work. But sometimes, if we're not really understanding exactly what that child needs, it's hard to help them.
But how did you find that out?
Oh, well, I'm a mama who like to do research and figure out what's going on.
So you got to figure, whatever the kid needs, you got to find out what that is to help him. But if you had refused to believe, oh, there's nothing wrong with him.
Right.
He just likes to move, just let him move. Okay, but if it's distracting him, he's still not getting his work done, and he's distracting everyone around him, then what do we do?
Right.
So I have kids in my classroom who make noises. I'm going crazy. I'm just going to be honest. I'm like, why are you coming? Why are you making this noise? I'm talking.
Right.
And then the children around keep screaming, shut up. And I'm like, please, that's disrespectful. We can't talk to one another like that. Can you please just ask him to be quiet? And then the kid says, sorry. And then he does it again. What do you do? Wow. We have to find out why that stimulates him. Why is he making that noise? I gave Poppets the first day of school. I gave Poppets, and I was like, this is going to be my friend. But it doesn't work for everybody.
Yeah, Poppets.
And it's not working for the ones that I needed to. So I have to find something else.
Right.
But I need something.
Some
because
type of
when
fidget.
I'm giving instruction, I need you to listen to the instruction so that you know what you're doing.
Right.
I'm going over things that you learned last year so that when I start what we're doing in 4th grade, that you'll make the connection.
Right.
Yeah, but I can't keep the attention long enough.
So with those kids, do you ask the parents at home, what do they do at home? Like say, hey, what do you do at home to keep them, engaged pretty much?
I'm not at that stage yet.
Not yet. Okay.
Not yet. Because I'm still learning, and then we have back to school night that's coming, I think on the 18th of this month, and hopefully I get to meet with the parents and engage and talk. We had a meet and greet, but not everyone was able to make it because it was at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and some people work.
Right.
But hopefully the back to school night.
Them back to school nights are hard though because you don't get
in the evening.
Yeah, but you don't get a chance to really communicate with the parents like that.
Oh yeah, I will.
You will, because I know the back to school nights for my kids when they were going back to school night, like you're going into this class and you're meeting them.
Well, you do have more than one parent, more than the one
child. Oh right, yeah, I got 3 kids at the same because they're especially if they're switching classes and stuff, so you're trying to get to know all the teachers and stuff. But elementary is a little bit different.
The only time mine switch is if they have other kids in the building because I have I teach everything: math, science, and read English, math, and science. They just leave for music and gym.
Okay.
Everything and social, emotional learning, I teach that as well.
Oh. Okay. Wow. I'm just still sitting here thinking about how you're able to get it all done in a classroom setting like that.
Baby, nothing but the grace of God. Wow. I promise you. It is only by the grace of God.
So what is your strategy for this school year with your parents and the kids? Like, what is your strategy?
Informing them about what's going on. When I send out homework, I'm letting them know what's coming up for the next couple of weeks, what's going on, and I have a section, so I have a cover sheet, and I put everything on the cover sheet.
Okay. Homework
is due. This is what we're learning in English. This is what we're doing in math. This is what we're doing in science.
Okay.
These are important dates. Whether it's fire drills, lockdown, whatever it is that we're doing, I put all of that. Parent-teachers night, parent-teacher associate PTA meetings, all of that is in that little section. Make sure your child reads an hour a night. Make sure your child is in school by 8 a.m. Music is on these 3 days. Like, I'm putting everything on there and a place for them to sign at the bottom. As well as my contact information. You have my email address, the telephone number to the school with my extension, and that the best way to reach me is through Dojo.
Okay.
That's it.
That's it.
So at least if you have questions, and I have had parents texting me, asking me questions, I'm answering them via Dojo. If it's too extended, I'll make a call.
Okay.
But they have my email address, they have the Dojo app that we correspond on, telephone number.
Okay, so they have access to you, so they have any questions. We kind of skipped over this a little bit, but we were talking a little bit about it, like the challenges as a teacher that you face with your nose flaring up. I can't even say it with a straight face. The challenges that you're dealing with, because it sounds to me like, as we were talking earlier, you were saying that, trying to have a conversation with parents about helping their kids and their parents don't see anything wrong with it. So it's like the attitude, like what do you need from parents? Like it sounds like there's an attitude about, or a denial. Denial. So how?
Which gives them an attitude.
Denial gives them that. So what do you need from parents? Tell me, all right, I'm a parent, right?
Just being realistic. Let's just be realistic and just deal with what we have. Stop throwing up the blockers and just listen, because I'm not the enemy.
Right.
I want what's best for your child. I don't feel like I succeed unless your child succeed. And I have 20 persons that I need to succeed. I need to see them grow.
Right.
In math, science, and English. Their reading levels have to increase. And I have to figure out how I can reach each child to help them do that.
Right.
I take it personal. I'm not here for the money because it's not that great.
Okay.
It's not. If I played baseball, I would make more money if I did a good job. But this is my heart.
Right, this is your passion.
So I am doing this, and I need to see their growth.
Right.
So if I'm telling you that there's a problem and we need to work through something, let's just figure out how we're going to do it. Ask me, well, Miss Gould, what do you think?
Right.
And then I'll be like, well, can we try this? If this doesn't work, then let's try this. Because it's going to be a process of elimination. We got to find something and then I want to bring in other people who are more experienced than I am. They may have dealt with someone who is on the level of your child.
Right.
Or have some of the characteristics that your child, whatever their need is.
Right.
And then they can share with us, oh, well, let's try this. Because we got kids that they just pass out, just flipping over tables. I don't have time for that. There's not enough room in the day. Like my schedule, there's 5 minutes in between each session. I'm at lunch at 10:30 in the morning, from 10:30 to 11, and then the kids go to recess for 20 minutes from 11 to 11:20. At 11:25, I'm starting English. I don't have time for you flipping over tables. I don't have time for you throwing chairs across the room.
Right.
I need everybody to be here. You need to go to the bathroom before you come from recess.
Right.
So when they're like, can I go to the bathroom? I'm like, baby, no. Because then you're going to miss what I'm saying and you're not going to know how to do it. And then I'm not going to remember that you were out of the room, and that's going to frustrate me because I'm like, oh, I didn't teach this right. Because this many people don't know what they're doing. And it's not my fault. I taught it right. You just weren't here to hear it because you keep asking if you can go out. Can I get water? So I sent home a thing and I said, can you send your babies with the bottles so that they can fill them up? I can have them fill them in the morning and fill them in the afternoon, and you can drink water. Then I only have to worry about you leaving to go to the bathroom.
Right.
I'm trying to eliminate.
I think it sounds like it's just such a challenge because, all right, so from the parent side, right? My kid is acting up, right? They're flipping tables and they're doing all this stuff, and I don't know what's wrong with my kid, or maybe I haven't taken the time out to figure out, because here's the thing, kids come from all different backgrounds, right? There's a lot go on in these homes that we don't know what's going on. Sometimes the kids share, sometimes they don't. Parents more than likely won't share if there is something really bad or dysfunctional at home. For, again, in our culture, for embarrassment, or they think there's nothing wrong because this is how we always live. Absolutely. And everybody live, and in the whole neighborhood. To them. Yeah, like I'm functioning and it's dysfunction because this is all we know, right? Right. So then then these kids come to school and you have to deal with these behavioral issues. But there's so much go on in these households, and I just wish that like schools were equipped to be able to help parents out, whether it be emotionally or not necessarily financially, because there's a lot of financial help for a lot of people, but I think that a lot of times, because parents don't know how to cope with society and situations, that lingers over to our children. So our children, like, so if mommy and daddy flip out at home when they're mad or they don't get their way or something going on, I'm going to do the same thing, right? So even if you're telling a parent this child has this behavior, well, that's what we do in our house. When we mad, we flip over stuff. Right. But I'm just trying to figure out how to teach parents without offending them, like in a better way, so that they understand, like, this behavior is definitely not acceptable because somebody else can get hurt, right? And also, while our children are young, it is so important to teach them how to deal with society, how to be social. And I think it's just hard because it depends on the area you live in and all you see. And you may not even see mommy and daddy all day, all night. Right. And you come to school and you mad because you ain't seeing your parents.
True. And let's not forget about not being fed.
Not being fed, or don't have the latest sneakers, get teased or bullied. Like, there's so many things just our kids are dealing with, and unless, again, the parents partner with the school, you wouldn't know what's going on in the household, and we really wouldn't know what's going on with them at school, really. That's right. Or we won't understand. So I'm just trying to figure out how a better partnership where nobody gets offended, You know, like not saying that you're not teaching well or you're not doing this at home. It's like, how can we come together for the success of our children?
That's good.
And I think it is a lack of resources for parents. I think that's part of the issue.
Okay.
I only do what I know. I only do what I said. Sure. So if we have maybe some school districts, they do this, where they have parenting groups. Somebody come here and teaching parents how to parent, but just parent differently. Not saying that your parenting is bad, my parenting is good, but let's do it a different way because it's just not working this way.
Now,
let's try something
is it
else.
Successful? Like, do they show up?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, they do.
Well,
so it's something that I think.
Expand that then.
Yeah, I think it's something definitely we got, because again, most of our kids are dealing with trauma, PTSD.
Yes.
Most of our kids are dealing with some type of traumatic experience. Either they've seen somebody get killed, one of their family members get killed. Because remember, I was on the show. 1 out of 5 kids their parents will lose a parent by the time they're 18. 1 out of 5. 1 out of 5. Will lose one parent before they're 18. That's the statistics, and it's high, wow. Right? So there's at least 2 kids on the school bus who has lost one parent, wow. Or somebody close to them as a parent, like a grandparent maybe.
Right.
So there's grief in all areas, right? So we have these kids, or they may see their friend. You know, kids are getting killed all the time. They may see their cousin. You know, there's just so many traumatic situations. And also, some kids might even be afraid to come to school because of all the bomb threatening or the kids getting shot up at school. Our kids read the news. Well, read the paper. Well, they don't read the paper, I'm sorry. They may see the news, or they see Facebook, because half the kids got social media, right? Yes. They see it on Facebook or Instagram. They see these traumatic things. Wow. So they bring all that in, sure. Right? Mm-hmm. They bring all that in, so they're anxious and they have all these feelings inside because they haven't been taught how to really release them or how to deal with them.
How to manage it.
How to manage it, because most of the truth be told, in the African American household, kids are told that emotions are bad.
Yeah.
And that's the truth.
Anger,
don't you cry. Don't you get upset. What you mad for? I'll give you something to be mad for. Right? So they're not able to express true emotions. They're all suppressed, right? So then they come to school. Yep. They flipping over tables. They cussing other kids out. They taking other kids' lunch or sneakers or whatever. They're doing things to try to get it all together. And another thing, a lot of kids don't get attention at home.
Yes.
So then they come to school.
Yes.
And they do things to get attention.
Yes.
And they don't care if it's good attention or bad attention. It is attention.
Attention is attention.
Yeah.
They're like on my apron, just as soon as I give an assignment, I give the directions or whatever, they come, Miss Gould, I don't understand. I'm like, babe.
It's like, did you listen to me?
I just need you. I said, I want you to write whatever you're thinking, whatever you think the right answer is, just write that. Right. Sound out the letters, and then Miss Gould is going to help you, because I'm not writing it for you. Yeah. I need you to do it on your own. I need to know what you know. Not you know what I know.
Right.
And that's been working.
Yeah. A lot of kids just, even if you just say hi to them, like they got attention.
Oh, no. Or I stand at the door in the morning. You get a big smile, and you get a hug if you want one. They have to initiate it, though, because you know me.
You hug all the babies.
I hug every last one of them, but I need to know that you like hugging.
Right.
So if they go to, I'm in it, all in it. But there's a smile, a hug, and I'm at the door every morning to greet everyone. That's the only ones that don't get greeted are the ones that's late, because I'm already at my desk entering the information in the system for attendance. But they still get a smile. Hey, happy to see you. Glad you made it. Right. And I am glad they made it, because if you're not there, then you're not hearing.
Right. There's another thing I want to address, and I don't know. I get backlash about this, and people really don't agree with me, but I'm okay to agree to disagree. I'm okay with that. Okay. Yelling at kids. So here's my thought, right? when I have my parenting groups, I tell them, I said, listen, when you yelling at your kids, that's all they're gonna know. Yep. So when they go to school, their teacher, if her teacher is talking to them in a nice soft voice, they don't recognize a nice soft voice. Nope. They don't budge until their teacher has to yell at them. Yep. Do you witness that, or is that, because I know I wasn't making that up.
I live it.
You live it.
So the only time I raise my voice is to get their attention. But now I say, if you can hear me, clap your hands. If you can hear me, clap your hands 2 times. If you can hear me, clap your hands 3 times. And you'll hear it. Not everybody can hear it. I do. There's a young lady that does, oh my gosh, what's her name? Miss May. I've watched some of her videos because she's in Texas and she does a bunch of videos for teachers. So I do flat tire and all my children say, shh. Oh. I say, ba-dum-bum-bum-bum. And they say, we're loving it.
Oh, wow.
I've tried cutting the lights off, and I cut the lights off, and I tell them, when I say that, I need you to stop talking and look at me.
Right.
I need everyone's attention on me. Now, they just came back to school on August 28th.
Right.
And I've been doing it since then. I got a good portion of my class that is doing it.
Right.
I still have some who, in their little conversation, and they just will not give it up. I raised my voice. Excuse me. Thank you. I just needed you to look at me. Can you just look at me for a moment? And then I start talking. But I told them, I didn't come here to lose my voice. Mm-hmm. I get paid to teach you. Only way I can teach you is for you to listen to me. Yeah. You gotta be quiet to do that. Yeah. I don't wanna yell, and I'm not going to. I said, if you wanna talk, I'll be quiet. I'll just wait for you to stop talking. Obviously, you have something more important to say than Mr. School. I'll wait. And they're like, oh, looking all around. And they're like, sorry. And I'm like, can I talk now? Thank you so much. And then I go in and teach. Right. I'm not doing all that yelling. I didn't do all that yelling last year.
Yeah, I noticed it. And a couple teachers said that. It's like, it's hard to get the kids' attention unless you're yelling at them. And I'm like, well, you yelling at them, that's something they're used to. So they're going to listen. But I think, you know, if as parents, if we begin to talk to our children differently.
Retrain, yep.
Yeah, basically retrain them, like talk to them like they're a person, respectful. But you know what? The crazy thing is that, so I'm in school, right? I'm in nursing school for a higher degree. So it's college, right? But you know what gets on my nerves when people keep talking when the professor's talking? It is so annoying. Oh my God. And I find myself, Kaya, like,
you turn and get a look?
Like, can you
like, take that outside?
Can we be respectful? And I'm like, I can imagine how their kids are, because like, as adults, if you don't know how to sit and be quiet and let somebody else talk, like, that's a major issue. And that's a lot of issues that our kids are dealing with. But I'm wondering if it's because of issues that the parents are dealing with. We don't know how to be quiet. Like, I'm sitting in class, I'm sitting there like, I know this is adult education. Like, I am like getting fidgety, I'm getting upset. I'm like, Donna, they pay money to go here too. They pay money to go here too. But I want to hear what the professor
saying, because that's who's getting paid to teach you.
One day I was so like livid because I just couldn't understand why you keep talking, right? And I was like, listen, no offense to nobody, but I paid the professor to teach me, and you don't know it either. That's why you're here learning too. So can we all just be quiet so that we can learn?
Did they receive that?
Yeah, they call me Big Bully, but some of them call me Baby D. You know, they be like, I'll be
Big
ready.
Bully Donna.
Yeah, they be like, Baby D, come take the lunch money. No, they be on it because they be like. But it's crazy because they call me the class president too, because I'm fair. But at the same time, I get so annoying when people talk. So when my kids do it though, I just look at them like, I try not to talk when they're talking. I'm like, listen, I'm not gonna disrespect you.
Yep, that's exactly what I'm teaching.
Like, I refuse to disrespect you. So if you feel like what you have to say is more important than what I have to say,
I'm gonna be quiet.
I'm gonna be quiet and listen. But let me tell you, if it's not as important as what I gotta say, we're gonna have some problems. You going to interrupt me for this? Oh, no. Or I'm quick to say, listen here, if I'm talking and all this stuff is going on, I'm overstimulated. I tell my kids in a minute, I'm overstimulated. You know what that means? Get out of my face. Back out, spread out. They do, because I can't take all this extras. Everybody talking at the same time, and you know, I'm dealing with teenagers now, which I'm telling you, I ain't signed up to have 3 teenagers at the same time. I did a Facebook post yesterday. Was not part of my plan. My biological kids are 9 years apart. Okay, that sounds like a really good plan to me, but God saw it different, and I inherited two other ones. So I have the 17-year-old and 2 15-year-olds at the same time. I got the one that tests my inner gangster. I got the one. I'm trying to tell you. Listen, it gets real out here, parents. I'm trying to tell you. I don't have this whole parenting thing down pat. I get frustrated, like especially right now with my son. Nothing's ever a problem with him. You tell him he did something wrong, okay. But then he'll do it wrong again. Okay, all right. Next time I just won't do it. That's him. He won't argue with you. He won't yell at you. He won't scream at you. He's a boy. All right. The 17-year-old, she cool, she's respectful, she's good. But the other 15-year-old, she got to keep challenging everything you say. And I said, did you give birth to me? Like, are you my mom? Because I'm trying to understand where this role reversal switch. I'm constantly telling her, this ain't acting class, we ain't doing this. But it's just like, they have so much to say. And it's like, listen, there's a time and a place for everything. So that's my struggle. That's my struggle out here. I'm putting it out here in the world, 3 teens at the same time. It's a hard night life for me, okay? As a single mom with these 3 kids, okay? 3 teenagers, 15, 17. Y'all pray for me out there, okay?
How about that? When
they were younger, it was a little bit more, I would say not be able to control them, but they would listen to everything I had to say. Now, they got opinions, they got thoughts, they got things. It's like, they're good kids, but every now and then it's just like, sigh. And they know, I walk around the house, I have all these quotes, y'all. I'm telling you, parents, get some quotes, get some stuff, because my kids know poetry now. They know Langston Hughes' Life for Me Ain't Been No Crystal Stair. It had tax in it. I started talking about that. Or Jesus on the Main Line. I'm calling you up and telling you what I want right now, God. They know that one. Another one of my sayings is, I'm overstimulated. Or if we're out in public, I don't argue. I don't do that. Smarten up. That's all I say, smarten up. And they know that all them brain cells and all that better, the neurotransmitters and stuff, synapses better start coming together, because right now you not doing intelligent things, okay? And I want to remain intelligent myself and not stoop down there. Okay. But I think it's so important for parents just to, that whole communication thing, and how important, Kaya, do you think it is for a village to raise children? How important do you think it is for a village?
Now, I think the village is important, and you have to be wise enough to select the village, because you need people around you to strengthen you as a parent and not do the same things that you do. So if you have to be able to identify that it's not right, but my husband and I as parents, we watched other people, how they were raising their children, and then our thought was, there's certain things that we're not going to do when we have children, even if it was something that we were watching on TV.
Right.
We watched Cosby's one time, and the kids were putting the parents against each other. So we turned and was like, we're not going to let our kids pit us against each other. We're going to always come together in agreement before we tell a child something. Yeah. Now, that was important for us because I didn't always remember everything. So one kid could come and say, Mom, can I go outside? Now, I done forgot that I told you an hour or so ago to clean your room.
Right.
If I'm in the kitchen cooking, or I'm down doing laundry or whatever, or even just watching TV, and you come an hour or so later and you say, Mom, can I go outside? I may not remember to turn and look at them and say, did you clean your room like I asked you to? I told you to do that. Did you do it? But I say, go ask your dad. And then my husband will say, did you clean your room like your mother told you to? After you clean your room, you can go outside. Let me know first. He covered me.
Right.
We needed that because we were on the same accord. We need the same thing when we're raising our children, those in the community around us.
Yeah.
But it has to be people that you trust.
Yeah.
Because if you come and tell me, you know, your son was down here doing thus, and such, I need to know that I can trust you, that you saw what you said you saw, and I'm going to handle him. Or if you handle him, I'm going to support what you said. Right. But if I can't trust you because you really got something against him, then that's going to be a problem.
Right.
Those that are in your community, you got to know that you can trust them and they got the best interest for your children. And then rely on that.
Yeah.
Because we did have people in the community and you're like, you can't listen to nothing she say. You can't listen to anything he say. But when you have a community and everybody loves everybody and everybody's looking out for everyone, you can't beat that.
Yeah.
And everybody wins. I'm bringing you groceries because I know you got laid off a month ago or whatever, 2 weeks ago. I don't need to know that how much money you have or whether you took out your 401k. I don't need to know all of that. All I need to know is you're in need. I got you. I done bought you a loaf of bread. I know you need certain things and I'm going to get you what you need. You see my kid doing something he don't have no business. Hey, you know your parents aren't going to like that.
Right.
I'm telling your mom. And then tell mom. Tell dad.
Right.
We need that.
We need to bring that back. I definitely think that we need to bring community because it seemed like everybody is about their own business. It's like, this is my kid, I'm raising them, you don't get to tell them nothing. Now, mind you, I don't allow everybody to speak to my kids, like to speak into their lives or anything. One, because I see your lifestyle and I'm just not, and I don't like how you handle kids, so you're not gonna handle my kids that way. Okay. So I get that, but not everybody is, like there's some people, like I have a village, which were teachers, counselors, lady at the bookstore, my friends, like I have a village, but not everybody again is able to speak to my kid who's not in the village. And it's not that I tell my kid don't listen to them or disrespect them. It's just that they know, them adults know, don't play when it comes to mine. Okay. And that's just because of the way that I see how they treat their kids or other people's kids. Gotcha. Like I'm not a fan of beating kids as soon as they say something. Okay. Like I'm a fan of really communicating with kids. Some people are a fan of popping right away, and not even explain to them what's going on. Wrong. You know what I mean? Okay. Like, so I'm just not a fan of that. I'm a little different, so I'm very careful who I allow to do what. Because there was a situation way back when my kid was young. Now Faith, and you know Faith, she was a quiet little angel, no problem. And I remember a particular person smacked her.
Ooh. In the face?
No, it wasn't in the face, but I heard my kid cry all the way in another room. Oh, I was in the same facility with this person. Wow. We were doing one thing on one side and all the kids were in the back, and that person smacked my child. I heard my child cry from another room. And then they said, well, she did something, and even though people said that she didn't do it, but they said that she did something, but your initial response is what you always do to people, and you didn't care who kid it was because that's what you've done to your own kid. Your initial response was to smack her instead of talking to her parents and stuff. So you got to just be careful. Watch how other people take care of their kids and other people's kids, right? Because that's going to be a problem. Right. Like that day, they saw the problem.
Right. I can imagine.
Now I'm quiet, I'm sweet, but I am from Chester. Right. Don't get it twisted. But again, it's just really, see, pride. Don't play with it. But I think it's really important, like you said, the trust in it, though. Mm-hmm. If I trust you and I see your work and I see how you handle kids and handle situations and you have great coping skills and you're patient with kids, oh yeah, I'm going to allow you to speak into my child's life. I'm going to allow you to do A, B, and C. Right. So I think it's important for us to seek out those people, though. Because parenting, you had Elder Gould, right, to cover you, right? Mm-hmm. For those single parents, most of us are single, we don't have no cover. Mm-hmm. So guess what? We got to remember we told you to clean that up. And you know one of the ways that we remember, at least for me, everything is written down. Yeah. I got a schedule. I got a list. Let me tell you, I done told you to do this. Listen, I check it off. So when you come to me, I'm saying, okay, you were responsible for the bathrooms. Are they done? Right. Oh, well, let me check. Send me some pictures. I'm quick now. They're like, your phone, send me pictures. I have my kids in a minute. I ain't get no pictures. You ain't going nowhere. That's good. And then they slick. They try to send a certain corner or whatever. Nope, I need to see the whole area.
Panoramic.
Yeah, I need the whole area. But that's just part of, just trying to find your village, though. I think it's important. And I think that parents, teachers, educators, principals, it has to be a part of the village. It has to be a full set.
Absolutely.
In order for our kids to be successful. None of us are island. We can't do it by ourselves.
But so many are trying.
Yeah.
Because they're so afraid that someone does not think like they do. It's no one saying that you're wrong.
Right.
I have young ladies who I'm sewing into their lives and I'm ministering to them and loving on them, and the moms can't stand me. But I'm not trying to take your kid away from you.
Yeah.
I just have something different to bring to the table.
Right.
I'm not better. I'm different. And I tell that to the parent. Like, you're angry because your child is spending time with me, but why? Why are you angry when you see who I am? You've experienced who I am.
Right.
Your child's not getting ready to be better than you. They're going to be a better version of themselves.
Right.
And you're going to be proud of that. You're the mom.
Yeah.
I'm just sharing something different. I'm giving them another way of looking at things. You've done your part. Tag, I'm it. Now I'm going to bring them along, and then someone else is going to take them and give them something else that I don't have. It's just a different experience.
I think, excuse me, a lot of parents are dealing with inner issues.
Yes.
It's an internal issue.
Yes.
So, like, there's an old saying, and it's not just old because we hear it all the time, you can't pour from an empty cup.
That's right.
Most of people are empty,
Yes.
right? They're not filling themselves up with the things that they need. So they're bleeding all over their kids because you can't, there's nothing in a cup. You're straining a cup. You're literally bleeding all over your kids.
Absolutely.
And now your kids are now bleeding all over the place too. So now we have all this blood and we're trying to work backwards to fix it. But instead of doing preventive measurements, it's like, how do I get me together so that I can be the best mother or father that I can be so that my kids can be the best child they can be?
But you have to do self-examination.
Yeah,
in
it's
order
a
to do
self-examination.
that. But if you have the attitude like, I'm fine, I don't need this, I don't need to change, or why should I change, and you going through all of that, then where's the change going to come?
Right.
No, you're going to be mad at everyone else that comes like, oh, you think you're better. Why? How do you know what I think? Who told you what I'm thinking?
Right. Let me tell you what I'm thinking.
Exactly, because you would be amazed at what I'm thinking. It has nothing to do with what you think I think.
Right. But that's that communication, Kay. That's that
Absolutely.
part. And I think that if we as parents just begin to communicate with educators or those who are even just involved in our kids' life. And it's amazing, though. You know what I find very amazing? They'll communicate with the coach, a basketball coach, a football coach. Oh, they'll communicate. Their kid come home and say such and such. Oh, they quick to go communicate that. But when it comes to education, getting them in school, getting them sitting down to do that, it's like this. I don't.
Getting them up to school every day.
Yeah, like
getting them up to school every day.
They ain't late
time.
for practice, but they late for school. I need to understand there's the breakdown there. Why? Because we need to get our priorities straight.
Yeah.
Again, we're gonna have a part 2 on this.
Jesus.
Because our time is up. But I certainly appreciate you coming on today, Kaya, just giving us some insight of what you're dealing with in the classroom and the things that can help bridge that gap between parents and educators. I think that people got some valuable stuff tonight to understand the things that you're dealing with and the things that you want to happen so that it can make their children successful in your job. Not that you're looking for your job to be easy, but being able to do your job effectively and efficiently. And I think that is important. So thank you, everybody, for joining us here tonight. You know, this is Parenting with a Purpose. I am your host, Donna Janelle. This was Kaya Gould. We thank her for coming on the show tonight.
Thanks for having me.
And every Thursday, 7 p.m. Again, September is education, so we will be talking to more educators, more parents, so that we can bridge this gap and we can partner with for our children to be successful. Thank you again for joining. I am your host, Donna Janelle.